What's up, everybody? I'm Adam. You're watching the Model Aviator channel. Today we've got another episode in our Quick Look Fun Flight series for you. We're checking out the FMS 1500mm Maule. This is a model that's been around for a while. I've wanted one for a long time, and I always said if I got my hands on one, I'd make a slight modification to the gear that I felt like would make it a better airplane. Well, we've done that, and I think I'm right. We'll cover that detail and much more. Let's get into it. The Maule has a 59-inch wingspan and weighs just over 4 pounds ready to fly, so it's a smidge larger than we consider a park flyer size, but it can fly slow very well and be easily handled in a small area if the pilot has the skill to do so. So if you want to do that and the laws where you live allow it, you certainly can. FMS sells this as a ready-to-fly or a plug-and-play. This one is the plug-and-play, which means that you choose the radio protocol and install your receiver of choice yourself. Any protocol is fine so long as it's a full-range receiver. It is a 5-channel airplane out of the box. You have elevator, rudder with a steerable tail wheel, ailerons, flaps, and of course throttle control. There is an extra signal lead coming off the ESC, so if you want to plug that into a spare slot and program thrust reverse, you can do that. And of course, if you're going to use some sort of gyro stabilization, depending upon whether or not that calls for an extra slot in the receiver, you may need an extra channel for that. The Maule's really well done. There's a lot of scale details. The mold has panel line, rivet, and vortex generators molded in. You have LED navigation and landing lights on the wings. This one has clear windows. There's a pilot figure seats and an instrument panel sticker inside, and you've got plastic bits that add some detail here and there. Things like antennas, gas caps, and the tail and wing struts that are fairly accurate. This one has a panel underneath that gives you access to a tray where you can mount your receiver, so they make that pretty easy for you. And this one is a convenient top loader. You have tongue and groove at the back, a spring-loaded latch at the front. It's not a huge battery bay, but it's big enough for the recommended size packs, which are 3S 2200 to 3200 milliamp packs. The connector on the end of the ESC lead is an XT60, and this one comes with floats. There's a servo-controlled rudder on one of those and all the necessary hardware to mount them on the Maule, so if you want to fly this one off water, you can. The Maule is very simple to assemble. There's no glue required. There's a very low part count, and the manual does a great job of taking you through the steps of assembly. We really didn't run into anything that we felt the need to mention. No snags whatsoever. When it comes to field assembly and disassembly, if you can't transport it together, which you can in a lot of vehicles, but if you can't, 3 screws per wing, 2 on the wing and 1 where the wing strut attaches to the fuse, and then 3 plugs, ailerons, flaps, and lights, and you're home free. It's not as simple as some, but the struts fold in on the wings for easy transport and storage, and it's still pretty easy, all things considered. So clearly we changed a couple things with our Maule. The main thing is the gear modification that we did, and I need to explain the method to my madness. First and foremost, in the full-scale world, there are Maules that have gear that look very much like the stock gear on the FMS Maule. They're wide, they're kind of squatted, they got really gigantic tires, but with the airplane, that caused a little bit of a problem. It's almost as if the gear is mounted a little further back than it should be relative to the amount of weight, given the battery is so far forward as well as your motor. And given the fact that the prop arc is so close to the ground, there's just not a whole lot of room to pivot before you're into whatever you're taking off from, especially if you're taking off from taller grass or some kind of unimproved runway, which RC bush pilots like me love to do, and I know some of you do as well. Also, landing the airplane, it just didn't take long before you had your propeller or the nose in the dirt with a nose over landing if you were landing on rough stuff that grabbed that gear. So also in the full scale world, and these are the gear that I gravitate to, there are gear for the Maule, they're optional, that are taller, narrower, and raked farther forward. And that does several things for not only a full scale pilot, but an RC pilot. First off, when you're taking off, it puts your propeller arc a lot farther from the ground and gives you a higher angle of attack at rest, which means that regardless of the takeoff technique you're using, whether you're just powering up and taking off from the 3-point position, or whether you raise the tail, then pop the flaps and pull, the fact that the airplane can reach a higher angle of attack at rest means that you're going to take off at a slower speed, which is great if you're doing stalled takeoffs and landings. That's going to render a shorter takeoff. And also, when you land, the fact that that gear's raked farther forward means that the full-scale pilot can get on the binders, the brakes, a lot harder without worrying about a prop strike or nosing the airplane over. It also means that the RC pilot can take off and land from rougher stuff, and it's going to do the same thing for you and keep you from nosing the airplane over. So our gear mod is very simple. It's not rocket science. We took a vise and a hammer. We took the stock tires off, took the gear covers off, strategically put the gear in the vise, and hammered away methodically, a little bit at a time, until we got each bend where we wanted it, so that we have the gear raked farther forward, narrower, and taller. And we just made sure that we didn't do a whole lot and go past it, so that we had to go back, because bending metal to and fro several times is a bad idea. It weakens the metal. You don't want to do that. So you want to get it right the first time. Just be methodical. Take your time. It took me about 30 minutes to get those bends right. Then we cut the top of the gear covers at an angle so that it looks natural, and it does. Looks like it came that way. And changed the tires out to the tires from the Hobby Zone Cletus Cub. Heidi went to work with the paint, painted the wheels the same color as the airplane, painted the front fairing on the cowling. To be fair, that's typically normally on a Maule the same color as the airplane, but I like them painted flat black. Gives it some contrast, just makes it look better to me. She painted the exhaust stacks flat black, and that is it. We have a Maule that, in my opinion, looks a good bit better, and when it comes to taking off and landing, it performs better too. When it comes to setup, the manual, as always, is a good place to start. All the pertinent information is there. You can start with that if you'd like, or you can do what I did, which is completely ignore it and do my own thing, because I know how to tune airplanes like this the way that I want. So I just kind of started with my own setup and then went from there. We fly Spectrum, so we installed an AR630 Plus receiver in our Maule. We are utilizing AS3X Plus stabilization. We tuned it to the Maule, and we have it on a switch so we can turn it on and off and report to you how the airplane flies both with and without it. When it comes to certain transmitter setups, here is our flap settings. You can pause that, take a look at that if you'd like to duplicate that in your transmitter. And also you can do the same with this. These are our AS3X Plus settings if you'd like to duplicate those in your Maule. When it comes to other transmitter settings, as far as servo travel is concerned, we're at 100 on aileron and rudder and 145 on elevator. We're at 100% rates, 10% expo on aileron, 100% rates, 15% expo on elevator, and 100% rates, 30% expo on the rudder. When it comes to mechanical adjustments, let me see if I can get this right in one try. When it comes to the servo arms, we are in the second from the outermost hole on aileron, elevator, and rudder. We're in the third from the outermost hole on the flaps. When it comes to control horn position, we are in the outermost hole on elevator and ailerons, and in the second from the outermost hole, or the center of 3 holes, on the rudder, and we're in the outermost hole on the flaps. Hey, I got it right first try. Awesome. When it comes to our balance, it doesn't really matter. We never checked it. We fly the airplane on Spectrum 2200 3S 30Cs or the SMC 3400. I think these are 80C packs. With either pack, We just put them as far back in the battery tray as we can get them and strap them down. The airplane flies great there. Never really checked the balance. I just know that any 2200 or 3233 or 3400 in that position, and you're going to be fine. Rock and roll, let it eat, and have a good time with it. So when it comes to flight characteristics, I've flown these before, but they're always somebody else's airplane. This is the first time I've had an opportunity to tune one to my liking that was mine and really get some stick time on it. And I absolutely love this airplane. It is one of the better foam bush planes that I have in my collection. It flies brilliantly now. Obviously, if you add AS3X Plus, that just takes it to another level. It's a better airplane in no wind with AS3X Plus, frankly. But when the wind picks up, makes a huge difference. And we got caught out in wind that was blowing a lot more than it was supposed to. One of the days we took this thing out, and I'm just very impressed with the combination of the airplane and the AS3X Plus tune. When it comes to skill level, this could be a first ever airplane. This could absolutely be a trainer. It is that docile. It is that honest an airframe. It doesn't have any bad habits. It won't bite you if you make some of the mistakes that, beginners make. But I do think there are better trainers out there. The Ranger series from FMS is better as a trainer. I think this is best suited, ideally, as a second airplane. Now, when it comes to price point, the price point is wonderful. Right now, if you're watching this video soon after it was published, it's on sale for a bit off at FMS for the pre-Black Friday sale. And the interesting thing is, even if it's full price, it is still a fantastic deal because of the engineering that goes into something like this. High-wing airplanes this size don't typically have clear windows and any detail inside the cockpit because it's just harder and more expensive to engineer, especially nowadays. You have to find a place to hide the electronics so they're not right there in what you're looking at. You have to find a way to reinforce the area where the wings mount. So if you have incidents, the whole thing doesn't just break apart. Removing the foam to do that really presents a lot of problems. So if you got stickers for windows, like most airplanes this size do, that's very easy to do. Designing and engineering, tooling the mold, and then assembling an airplane like this costs a tremendous amount more than just doing something that has stickers, especially nowadays. So the reason you can get this airplane for the smoking deal you can, even at regular price, is because this is an old mold and it's paid for itself several times over now. If they were to design and produce this airplane today, it would be twice what you'd pay for it right now. So I can't say more about what a smoking deal, even the regular price is on this airplane than that. So the only thing left to do now is show you everything I've been talking about and get to the Fun Flight demo, and we're going to do just that. So if you'd like to add one of these airplanes to your hangar, we'll put some links in the description where you can do just that. When you do that, lets FMS know you like what we're doing and gives our channel a bit of support. When you do that, we appreciate it. Thank you. That's it for us. Demos next. Enjoy the flying. Happy flying yourself. We'll see you next week with something cool with wings. Pay attention to the wheel noise when the tail lifts for takeoff. Interestingly enough, all of the wheel noise with this one is the tail wheel. A softer tail wheel would quiet everything right down. In addition to our Cletus Cub wheels on the mains, it makes me wonder how many tail draggers make a lot of noise just because of the tail wheel. The Maule slows down nicely, no bad habits, and that's with the heavier 3S 3400 pack. it's pretty speedy for a bush plane, and considering that most planes this size are 4-cell powered, the fact that this one makes as much power as it does on 3-cell is pretty impressive. It's not 3D plane power, but it's more than enough for any kind of sport aerobatics that you want to do. The airplane's very easy to handle at slow speeds, so stall work, short takeoffs and landings, very easy to do. Very easy to sustain a knife edge. We even climbed in that one. The Maule easily handles cross-control situations like slips and that flat turn, and it has no bad habits there either. And there's a better knife edge. The Maule has a relatively small rudder, but a large vertical. You wouldn't think it would have as much yaw authority as it does, but it's pretty impressive. And when it comes to flying it inverted, it's as comfortable there as it is right side up. I did that turn very abruptly on purpose to demonstrate how docile this airplane is when you get it slow. That was a full deflection rudder turn with opposite aileron with the flaps down at a slow speed, and it didn't bite me. You do that with a lot of airplanes, and if you do it that low, you're gonna need a new airplane. We have our timer set to 7 minutes, and we can get that long with mixed throttle on a 2200. With this 3400, if we want to, we can fly for as long as 9 or 10 minutes. We've got a little bit of footage playing around with the Maule in the gravel parking lot at our flying field. This is going to be a fun bush plane to take to different places and experiment with. It just makes flying slow so easy. And by the way, in this footage we're using the Spectrum 2200 3S pack. There are a lot of foam bush planes in this size range out there, and to be fair, many of those are more aerobatic than the Maule. But when it comes to looking scale and making flying slow, essentially bush flying and stall work very easy, the Maule is one of the best ones out there. We love it, and if you like that kind of thing, this might be something for you to consider for your hangar.